Welcome back to Beyond Quotas. We are wrapping up our series on fundamentals, and we're focusing on the last episode here. We have a lot of great stuff that we're going to be talking about, but we're also going to be recapping where we left off on the few episodes before this. And I'll tell you what, Travis, there was a lot of stuff that we talked about, a lot of things that are very crucial when you talk about fundamentals because it's the foundation and it's kind of that platform that you're laying out for yourself as you continue or start or continue in your sales journey.
Sure.
And I think a lot of our viewers here are now starting to see kind of what we're bringing to the table, what we've been talking about, but not only that, but some of the ways that we're simplifying the process today. Many times you're getting yourself into a way about doing business that seems very cumbersome or if not even challenging. And some of the things that we're doing and we're focusing on is by simplifying that and also making it so much easier for you. And so one of those was in the first episode that we talked about in this series was goals. We were not only talking about just the basis of goals and what's the purpose of goals, but also what are you doing to make sure that you're attaining those goals and you're achieving them. And we simplified it by three simple process. We did it first with determining your goal. So simple as that can be, right?
Yep.
The second one was where am I at? So as you've determined it, how far are you down the stretch of getting to where you need to be with that goal, or where are you in general in the process? Are you making sure that you're doing all that your parts that you've put out for yourself? And then the third one is scheduling. So are you scheduling the necessary tasks so that you can get to your goal? Right. So those are the things that just we recap. So, keep in mind, everybody, if you've been following us along, those are some of the things that we talked about in that first episode. And if you didn't get a chance to, and then, those are some of the three key elements that we talked about and we simplified for you. So you can run back to that episode and obviously you can hear all the great details that we went into each of those three elements. In the next episode, we talked about planning. And this is absolutely vital in the process of sales. And not only that, but it becomes almost crucial that you do it at a right time. Because if you don't, you fall into this hole. I don't want to say it, but truly it becomes a black hole because you're kind of almost digging yourself out if you wait too long. And so those three elements that we created, again, to simplify the process was the first being Q4 planning. So what I mean by that is that initially, most often, and again to recap what we talked about, you're getting a budget, a forecast, a quota that you walk into from either your company or you've created yourself for, and you don't start planning for that until the year that you expect to hit that quota, forecast, or budget. But what we're saying and what we've been saying in that episode was you got to start sooner. You got to start year prior. And so that's that first element. The second one was, the low-hanging fruit. So, what are some of those easy attainable things that you can get into? And you really had some good points about the low-hanging fruit that you touched on that episode. And then the third one was list of importance, right? So what are the key important tasks, elements, and or discussion points that you need to have with your customer so that you can understand where your budget, quota, or forecast is and ultimately get to that goal. And that's where we left off at. Now we're moving into decision, right? And this is where we're going to wrap up our series, and we're wrapping it up with something that is very important for everyone to really keep in mind. And not only is it important for you to understand why you should be understanding how to do or get to the decision, not only personally but professionally, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, decision drives commitment, right? If, for example, if you're talking to a customer and they're in that decision-making process, they made the decision. Well, that creates a commitment on their part to you, but it also creates a commitment for you to them. And we touched upon, as far as a decision, let's go back to episode 2 of decision to even get in sales. Those little small things like that. And, I mean, obviously sales is, it's the engine of every economy on earth. No other profession on earth where you can actually have an ambitious person create a financial future a strong income, regardless of background, regardless of education, age, where mental care or mental attitude and character are the driving forces of success. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. This is going to be it. You make a decision on where you're going. Make a decision on your future and everything, because that's going to be the commitment. So when you do hear those no's, you're already committed to the excellence. You're already committed to that long-term goal. That's going to be the key. That's going to be the driving force, like we say, to make sure that obviously you reach that point. You reach those goals that you set. That planning set, you hit it every day because you're committed to that goal. So decision is going to be the crucial, catalyst, so to speak. But yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, and I think, to tie in those lines, when you go back to the second episode in our series of Who We Are, we got personal in that series, because we wanted to, first and foremost, get everyone to understand what are these two individuals talking about? Why should I listen to them, right? And fair enough, we thought the same thing. So we wanted to start our podcast by going into who we are.
Yeah.
You can't go and try to expect an audience to listen to you without really knowing who you are and getting that sense of empathetic discussion points, right? And I think that was a great way for us to go into our first series when we were going into our podcast. And that second episode really tied really well about the struggles and the trials and tribulations that me and you individually and together went through, especially when we're talking about decisions. For us to have gone through what we had went through years before, we're talking, 11 years now, as crazy as that sounds. I'll tell you what, it was insane that, we were, scraping dollars, scraping change and, and still sat there and said, you know what, my decision to go into sales, I still want to do that, and I remember back now, some of those conversations we had during that episode, and we sat in that episode, and we're talking, and we're much more advanced now, obviously, right? We have some lighting, we have microphones, we're moving along. But if you all can remember, if you get a chance to, you go back to that episode, we were sitting in this business center room, with AirPods in our ears, trying to do a podcast. It was a homegrown moment, and we're still homegrown, but we're growing, right? We're still growing, but it just kind of becomes this whole perspective now that we're at this, we're at like our 7th or 8th episode in total of our podcast, and we're sitting here and we're talking about decision, and we're going back to that second episode and still thinking like, oh my gosh, we went through what we went through and we still made that decision, right? And I'm sure many people are out there today that are listening to this that are thinking the same thing, because not for nothing, you said it earlier today, sales is the hardest and the easiest job. And you know what? I'll let you explain that better, because you did a good job explaining why it's so easy, but why it's so hard.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's hard and easy. It's easy for those that, want to get up and just, coast through. It's the easiest job in the world. You don't have, 9 times out of 10, you don't necessarily have the, micromanagement. You don't have people breathing down your neck. You have numbers. Mm-hmm. You can go hit them or not. But it's also the hardest. We're not going to sit there and sugarcoat it. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to feel rejection. You're going to have those days where it sucks. At the end of the day, if, kind of touching back on our previous experience about that commitment in sales, there's a lot of times, back when we were in Houston, I'd swing by for lunch, give them my credit card. It didn't go through. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, eating's overrated anyway, right?
Right.
Kept going.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's hard. But those who persevere, those who make the decision to succeed, those are the ones that go to the seminars. Those are the ones that do the extra training. Those are the ones that reach out to people that are doing well, taking notes. Those are the ones like yourself listening to the podcasts, getting that edge. Because at the end of the day, if you continue to grow, and this is universal, if you continue to grow every day, get a little bit better, you're guaranteed success. I promise you that.
Mm-hmm.
We're living proof.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest commitment. When we talk about commitment, that's it. You know, it can be hard. It can be easy. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to put in the work, that's going to be the driver for success.
Mm-hmm.
Get up every day and be hungry to go out there, because you're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to hit, a wall. It's going to feel like that this sucks. Like, it doesn't. You don't want to do it anymore. But why did you get in the first place? Why is it so exciting? Continue to remind yourself. Continue to look at your goals on a continual basis, because that is what drives you. That's the magic right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and and you said it best. I mean, we're hungry. We're eating our lunch when everyone's eating their breakfast, right?
That's it.
So, I think this was a great series. I hope everyone had a chance to really kind of listen to the past few episodes, based on our recap around goals and planning. It's something that is crucial, but the great part is that we've made it easy for you. So Go back to those episodes, listen to it. We're wrapping up our series here on fundamentals. We're actually going to come out with a next step or best step, 6-step scenario, let's just say, in the new year. So I'm really excited about it. We're both really excited about it, because it's going to be something that I think is going to be a life changer for many. It's different than what you've seen before, and I think it's going to be great. So we're going to wrap up today's episode. Very, very happy that we're here today. I hope everyone is having a great holiday season, and we're on to the next one. Thank you.
Yes, sir.